for being invited to this event. I believe that every event where we discuss the case and plight of Rohingya is a contribution to their case. So that's why it is important that we are discussing this subject today. First of all, let me say that I represent OIC, but also I have got a personal perspective. I have been to Rakhine State twice. First visit was immediately after the first wave of violence, which was in June 2012. In September that year, I went to Myanmar. I went to Naypyidaw, Yangon, and Sidwe. I had meetings with many ministers, local authorities. In Sidwe, I met the chief minister. I came together with the Rakhine elders. I visited the IDP camps. And I saw firsthand the suffering going on there. And second visit was with the OIC ministerial delegation in November 2013. Again, we were taken to a few places in Rakhine State. We were able to see the situation there. So once you develop this personal perspective, personal affinity with such cases, really, it is becoming a personal issue. That's why I have been trying to do my best to help solve this problem by interacting with the Rohingya diaspora in the United States and by interacting with the human rights organizations and like Burma Task Force and also by interacting with the Myanmar mission here. In a way, we have been acting as a focal point between OIC and the Myanmar government. So let me say that we all want to see and we support a democratic Myanmar. I believe that, I know from also my personal observations, I can say it's a beautiful country with beautiful people, and Myanmar people suffered a lot under autocratic rules. I believe that it is time for Myanmar to develop and take its rightful place as a democratic and pluralistic society. But there are so many challenges. Certainly the situation in Rakhine State is one of the challenges. And what is quite important is that, personally I believe that the situation in Rakhine State will be the litmus test for the success of the democratization and for the success of intentions in Myanmar. I also believe that people of Myanmar deserve a people-oriented and people-led democratic regime. A successful transition will not only have positive implications on the communities in Myanmar, but also it will have positive impact in the region, in Southeast Asia, where we see the dangerous signs of anti-Muslim sentiments rising. We have all followed the elections in Myanmar. As per election results, now there will be a strong leader in Myanmar. It is now certain, with absolute majority in the parliament and with a strong mandate from the people. Though the role of military will continue under a certain form, and the ruling government and party will have to deal with the military in a very careful and wise manner. So it will require a kind of reconciliation and management. Now the leader, the legitimate leader of Myanmar after these elections is Nobel Peace Award laureate. So this also gives us certain hope. But we have got some question marks as well. We all want to believe that Aung San Suu Kyi had to follow a certain path. She had to follow until now for political expediency. This is what we hear. And that it was necessary to to achieve this result, this political result. We understand that she will base her policies on consensus, including reaching out to USDP, the outgoing government, and involving all ethnic groups in the transition of the country towards democracy. We sincerely hope that she will have success in this consensus-based transition, though also I must admit that until now her leadership style within her own party have created certain concerns to some observers. One of the important questions to her from our side will be what would be her stand vis-à-vis the latest EU-sponsored human rights resolution adopted by the UN General Assembly, which was adopted in November 2015. And how this stand towards this resolution, her stand or her government's stand to this resolution, would be any different from the one of the USDP government. Certainly, it will also be important to see how NLD will deal with the issue of incitement, particularly coming from extremist monks such as Vratho of Mabatha movement. In the last 2 years, this extremist group had gained a status in which they were able to veto any legislation, and they were able to initiate legislation, propose legislation. So it will be very interesting for us to see how the NLD government will deal with this issue. I must say that it's very worrying for me to see, I think it was end of January, 29th of January, Vratho posted on Facebook a video of reenactment of the rape case, which caused all this intercommunal violence in 2012 May. So in a few days' time, Facebook blocked this video, but by that time, 100,000 people watched this. So when we all expect the beginning of a new phase in Myanmar, when we expect the beginning of intercommunal reconciliation, such an incitement is really, really very worrying. And somehow this will be a big challenge for the government to deal with. Imam Malik mentioned the outrageous situation in the concentration camps. I also call them concentration camps because I have seen them. The general situation in these IDP camps are not sustainable and acceptable. Though we are following very closely, this should be a very important task for the international community, especially for the United Nations system. But also from the perspective of the new government, how they will deal with these basic humanitarian needs of the people in the IDP camps, including shelter, food, healthcare, education. This will be also a litmus test for the government. Here, I'm not going into the details of the 1982 law or citizenship issue and recent developments, but this issue can be handled at a later stage. But this shelter, food, healthcare, and education is an immediate need.